today.
Beep, beep, beep. What's up, bud?
What's up, human soundboard? You like that guy from Police Academy?
I'm exactly like him.
Michael Winslow, Jeffrey Vitkin,
Good for you,
Tomato.
knowing his name. Wow.
I know his name, but I can't do an impression of a single one of his sounds. That's how much of an instrument that guy is.
Do you think that they faked it at all? Like that they, you know what I mean? That they use like real sound effects, and then he was just over there like, like.
So Meet the Soccers audience. Jeff has definitely found some red pill connections in London, and now everything's a conspiracy with this guy. Do we think Michael Winslow is a fake? I mean, that would be pretty funny if he was only famous for making sounds, and it turns out he couldn't actually make any of them. That would be pretty funny.
I mean, as we have discussed before, it's a real stretch to think that you're gonna get cast in movies based on your ability to make sounds with your mouth.
And also, if you ever saw, I don't know if you ever saw any of the videos of him like on Carson or like other like late night, maybe it was even Letterman. Like,
No, I'm not a super fan like you.
Yeah, I'm a huge Winslow head.
Winner.
Oh, we should call them winners. That's great. That's much better. Good. You should do this professionally.
Oh.
But like just seeing the shapes that his mouth would make, and like I feel like it was impressive if you turned the volume off to just see this person contort themselves.
That's pretty. I wonder what his story is. Do you think he was like into beatboxing, or was he like pre-beatboxing even?
I think he was just a strange police officer academy submission, and it turned into like a movie, like art parodies life kind of thing. I think he was cop first.
Oh, you think he was not submitting to the movie Police Academy? You think he was submitting to a real police academy?
No, they were. I think he made it, and they were like, "We need real cops for Police Academy. Let's do alongside actor Steve Guttenberg. We'll just get the hardest, most grizzled veteran police officers, but you know what? If any of them have any sort of personality or can make sounds, we'll take that into consideration." And Michael Winslow wowed them on the first day.
This guy's been undercover for 3 years as a helicopter. Deep cover. No one could tell that he wasn't a weed whacker.
He's so serious. He method acts. He is married to another weed whacker. Like they have a kid.
Don't talk to him right now. He's a laser gun. If he does talk to you, fall on the floor and die.
Can you imagine? Like he's trying to like, for the first time, like consummate the marriage with like his tractor, with his John Deere tractor.
What do you think he sounds like when he comes? Never mind. Don't answer that. Or do.
I don't know if I should do an impression of anyone making that particular sound. But Jeff,
Yes.
have you seen the movie White House Has Fallen? Or sorry, Olympus Has Fallen.
Maybe.
Or have you seen it's like Gerard Butler is like a Secret Service guy, and somebody's actually like hijacked the White House, or they've hijacked Downing Street, or they've hijacked.
I'm gonna crash this White House into the Twin Towers.
If this White House goes any less than 50 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and you've just got Joe Biden trying to like push the White House. No, so the latest, so Olympus has fallen, White House has fallen. Now Los Angeles is underwater is the latest in the Gerard Butler trilogy. So right now, Jeff, I don't know if it's reached you in the UK, but have you heard about climate change?
I don't think it applies to us here. We did a Brexit.
Well, I mean, honestly, if I'm British, I'm praying for climate change. I'm like, let's roll the dice again. Let's see which one we're gonna get.
Dude, to be honest, there is a little bit like we're north enough that like some of the good stuff happens. Like apparently, like the Champagne, like the same soil from Champagne, France, it goes like geologically goes all the way up through like southern England. And now that climate change is happening, like they're just making like incredible sparkling wine here that no one knows about yet. And like I don't know. There are definitely some people here that are like fine with it.
If you are like a prospector or a gambler of funds, are you consulting with some like climate scientist to be like, so what part of the country will sink into the ocean? And then just going a few miles inland of that and buying cheap property now that turns into beachfront property in 50 years.
I do wonder, like my grandparents, we sold their house after they died, but they had the house that was like on the other side of the street from waterfront. And I'm like, man, we were sitting on a gold mine there. Just give it a few weeks, really, at this rate. And I don't know, that stuff really is scary. My parents live the whole eastern shore of Maryland, where my parents live now. Like all of it is like 3 inches above sea level. So like
Minor
I don't know. I
change.
mean, I guess they're in a similar position too, where they're across the street from the water, and I don't know. I think it could. I think this climate change stuff might be real.
It might. Isn't London also at risk just by virtue of being like a port city?
I don't know. I mean, the Thames. It's like it's a big river, but also I feel like London probably isn't at too bad of risk. Although, where was it? There's another city that's like really flooded now. Oh, blanking. But
Brighton?
like I don't know. I think there's a lot of like if you've ever been to Venice in Italy, I think there's going to be a lot of that in the future of like walking
Like
on
canals.
tables. Well, maybe not that. Like maybe probably not like the picturesque cool stuff about Venice, but I just mean like Venice floods all the time, and like they have like these special tables they put out, and you just walk from like table to cafe table when it's really flooding there, and like that could be like Miami next year. Miami floods like crazy all the time. That's New York in like 3 years.
Oh yeah, New York. Like what are they? They should be thinking about it now, not when people are screaming and having to evacuate cities. Like building up walls, figuring out ways to quickly drain water. A third thing.
Yeah,
The rest.
That's why they should be thinking about it, not us. But
Yeah, we're podcasters. We are not obligated to think. We can. We're welcome to.
we're more
But it's
like
not in
thought
our.
leaders than thought havers.
We're thought sayers. They don't have to be our thoughts.
We tell people what they should think about.
So do you think if London's at risk from climate change, do you think that I shouldn't bother coming back one more time for one more rodeo?
I think you can sneak at least one more London trip in, bud. And I think that you have. Okay, just waiting for the thing to change. Boom.
Is London calling instead of sinking?
For those who are not watching the little ticker that goes across the screen that only Schuyler and I see, and the one guy on Twitch who hasn't logged in yet, yes, we're having Meet the Soccers. We'll be live in London again. We didn't actually do a podcast in person last time, did we?
Didn't we try, but it wasn't working?
The first time we did that. Or maybe it wasn't working. I don't know.
I think I definitely will bring my proper microphone this time.
Like this one or the snowball one?
Right, yeah. Here's a question, Jeff.
Yeah.
You and I always try to record the podcast in your living room. What if we went somewhere to record the podcast? Like, whether it's on one hand like a small studio we could rent for 2 hours, or on the other hand, we find whatever your local pub is and ask in advance, would you mind if we recorded live here and got like pub ambiance, maybe some public embarrassment, yeah, some what the fuck are you doings from local patrons.
Honestly, the looks because like if we're in like the pub at like midday when there's just like 3 handicaps in there, and then it's like 2 American guys with headphones on screaming about soccer.
We're doing a podcast, but we could have them just sit down, and we could literally just intercept fucking randos and be like, "Who do you support?" Oh, Arsenal. Oh, another one.
Yeah.
But then like just talk to them about them like supporting them since like Thatcher or like since like the bombing of London. I feel like that could be interesting. We would have to think about the tech, right? Like, do you have to do a slightly different setup to do like a live podcast to what we do, which is a bad not live podcast?
I mean, a lot of pubs have Wi-Fi, but generally, like, to a shocking extent, the internet in the UK is terrible. So I bet you that it would be a little laggy. But I don't know.
Well,
maybe we could just record it.
The next time you're at, was it the Duke or whatever it's called? Like,
Yeah,
just
I
ask.
never
Just
go
be
to
like,
that
hey, could we do this? Do you have Wi-Fi? And like, we'll buy some shit. We're not just gonna waste their time.
Yeah, I know. I'll definitely have a beer.
I think Meet the Soccers : the pub episodes or the pub episodes. I feel like that could be like that. What if we just did it on our phone and put it out as like Patreon content?
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, so consider this, Meet the Soccers fans. You might get some even lower quality, higher concept episodes in the near future.
I do feel like we could randomly strike gold. Like doing it live would be tough because I'm sure we'd talk to a bunch of people who are just like weirdos and not fun. But some of like the people that you would meet, I'm sure would be incredible.
Let's look up. Then we're just doing our planning live during the podcast episode right now. But let's look up like what's a good microphone attachment for iPhones, like just something that we can just have light and just bring with us. And then who knows? Sometimes we might meet someone, might want to bust it out. I'm gonna drop it on the table.
Don't talk about our penises.
Speaking of dropping your dick on the table, Jeff, yesterday was Sunday, and you know what? My day started early, but after I watched United play, I got into actually no, sorry, I missed the second half. I had to watch it not watch it. I had to listen to it on my phone while I was driving because I was driving 36 miles to Thousand Oaks, California, to watch Liverpool versus Arsenal in a British pub in Thousand Oaks because
Where
I have
is Thousand Oaks?
It's like northeast of where I live by like 36 miles. So like,
wow. Yeah, that's pretty far.
Yeah, it was a haul, but like, it was really early. I think I was on the road at like 7 a.m. to get there. We're the first people there, and then they don't open the bar for another half a fucking hour. So we're just standing there in the parking lot.
Wait, because that would have been 7 a.m.?
I got there at 8, and then we had to wait for until 8:30. But then we were first in, and I want you to take us through the match. But I want to let you know I watched your damn match, mostly because I was a little bit just wanting to see Liverpool tears.
I mean, how confident were you in Liverpool tears? Because I wasn't like, I don't know. I definitely did not think it was going to go the way that it did. I'll just say that.
I was 50%. Like, I didn't need to be confident for that to be the reason I was telling myself I was going. I was like, I'm going so that should Arsenal nick a 1-0 or even like a demoralizing draw, like whatever it is, as long as Liverpool fans feel bad about it, I'm sexually turned on by the idea of whatever it is.
It's funny. I remember all of the times that we played Liverpool this season. We played them twice already because we played them in the Cup as well, and we went out in the Cup against them. But apparently, the combined XG for those 3 games is like Arsenal 6.5, Liverpool 2. And that's really not my sort of emotional recollection of those first 2 matches. I remember them being dogfights. And then this one, we'll get into it. But this one, like, we were kind of dominant. And I don't know. I wouldn't have expected us to be that far ahead of them in the underlying statistics.
What, like, do you remember? I was drinking pretty early yesterday, so if you remember at all, the order of operation, I feel like it was 1-0 Arsenal, 1-1, then 2-1, then 3-1.
That's exactly right.
Yes, nailed it.
At 1-0, I mean, we were legitimately that whole first half. I think there's a level of like the way that a keeper sometimes just has to guess left or right, and it's not that they're right or wrong, they just have to pick one. I think sometimes the managers have to do that with their tactics where you don't know how the other team is going to be set up, and so you have to take a guess. And I think that little guessing game, Mikel Arteta won handily in the first half, where we just seemed to be just so much better positionally set up than them, where it felt like we were dominating the game the entire time. But in sort of classic Arsenal this year fashion, we managed to give away one of the dumbest goals I've ever seen. I mean, we had there was so much Arsenal in this where Kai Havertz has a one-on-one and can't finish it, but then somehow it falls to Saka. He puts it away. That's the first goal. Then the second goal of the game is it really wasn't even a chance, but somehow we like handballed it into our own net. And I mean, it was like one of those things where I was like, people like they were trying to clear it off the line, but it was like, doesn't even really matter. It's a penalty either way.
Well, could it have been a yellow and a penalty if they called it for the handball?
I guess
so
you're right.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, maybe that was a strategic own goal. Yeah, no, I think that was pretty tough. And then, so we finished the first half, and it was 1-1, but Liverpool literally didn't have a shot on goal at that point. The only shot on our goal was from our own defender's hand. And so we go in 1-1, and now it's like, when they came back out, the second half I felt like was much more evenly matched. Although I still kind of felt like it was less nail-bitey than I thought it would be. I thought that it would be a much harder time. And even in the second half, we were like kind of in charge, which I really wasn't expecting going into this game.
Well, part of it is you and it's doing the weird Zoom thing with my hands. Part of it, we talked about this when we were talking about the African Cup of Nations, like what impact was AFCON and the Asian Cup? I can't remember what the heck that's called.
Yeah.
But like, what impact was that going to have? And Salah both being gone and being injured means he was not available for this match. He would have been their main attacking outlet for sure. And I think just his presence alone,
in the previous games, yeah.
Just his presence alone could have changed this to a draw, or who knows? Like maybe he puts Liverpool on his back. And then also they were missing, I think, Szoboszlai in the center of midfield. So like
people talk a lot about that.
Those are two big losses for them. But the funniest part was Virgil van Dijk essentially like handing Arsenal like the final goal of the match that like sealed it by like just so overzealously like bungling into his own goalie, and then like I can't remember who scored it, but like it was a wide open pass into the goal,
that was Martinelli. Oh, I've watched that highlight several times. I can't decide who's more at fault, whether it's Van Dijk or Becker, but the keeper there, he just does this weird thing that like I've never seen a professional athlete do in a game where he's just like excited and jumps, but isn't anywhere near the place that he's supposed to be. It was very strange. So that's how we went up, which is even that is kind of like, I don't know. It's very emblematic of this season where we had so many other like well-crafted chances that, you know, people missed that they should have put away. So then we actually get the go-ahead goal when they just like, you know, get their thumbs stuck in each other's butt.
But would you say like Arsenal's missing a striker in Gabriel Jesus, correct?
Correct.
Were there any other big missing players? Because in my mind, like Liverpool lost by not being by virtue of not being full strength. I feel like they're much scarier when they have everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking anything away from your victory. Sure. It was like you guys showed up on the day, and like that's all you can ask for. But like they just didn't look like the Liverpool of the past few weeks, like the emotional post Klopp announcement Liverpool, where they're just gonna win every match for their daddy.
Yeah. Partey is still out. He was supposed to be back, and then Zinchenko started the game and left at halftime with a knock. And that one, it's not like Zinchenko is our best player per se, but it does change the way we set up because we can't have an inverted fullback anymore.
So I'm adding a topic really quickly. I don't know if you can guess what it's going to be, but
I'm wondering if you wanted to talk about I can't even see it. There's so many talk. Anyway, I was going to say, is it?
It's on the screen. It's
Zinchenko and yes. Yeah, that was a funny joke from Arteta.
Yeah. So Jeff, please. Sorry, I just mumbled over the last four things you said, but Please recap it from your perspective, what the news item was and how you and I immediately had to rush off and talk about it on text.
Well, apparently there was some sort of, which I don't even really remember this all that well. It's not as nearly as memorable as what came afterwards, but apparently there was some sort of like scuffle between Ben White and Zinchenko, or not even a scuffle, but like they were sort of in each other's face. Somebody made a mistake during a game, whatever. These things that happen all the time, but
tempers flare.
When they happen to, honestly, maybe it's my bias from doing this podcast, but I feel like these are things that happen all the time. But when they happen to Arsenal or United, they become front page tabloid news everywhere in the UK, and it sort of ripples out to the whole world that way. But it was like a nothing story. But then they asked Arteta about it, and his response is like, "Oh no, they're doing much better now. They've been living in the same home and swapping wives," which is
sharing wives is what he said.
Which I think that's more or less dirty. Wife swap is at least a PG television show.
But if they were, to be blunt, if they were swinging and sleeping with each other's wives, one, I'm not sure Arteta would know. Two, if he knew, I'm not sure.
Film it, Schuyler.
But I don't think he would bring it up to avoid causing problems for his players. I think he honestly just meant they're all like kind of living in one like larger space together, kind of like as a unit, as like someone's doing the laundry, and maybe that's something that they've chosen to do. I can't imagine it's actually like, oh, we just gangbang as a group here.
That's what I thought at first too, but then the more I've thought about this, I think that he was actually making the opposite joke of, no, they're such good friends that they bang each other's wives. Shut up. Next question.
But like, would he not? Then is that a huge gaffe from him in that, like, thinking that was going to not turn into 47,000 tabloid articles?
I did, like, I don't know. I mean, this is a guy who's lived in the UK for longer than I have or probably ever will. But there was a moment where I'm like, does that joke land better in Spanish? Like, is that like a saying or something? Like,
yeah, in Spanish, there's a saying, fucking each other's wives.
Yeah. Mi esposa es su esposa. Yeah, no. I don't know about that.
But, like, it does kind of inspire maybe, like, a parody TV show about, like, this group of footballers and their wags and how everything's real free love and everyone's attractive and wealthy.
Crazy. What if there was a team that just, like, worked its way up the ranks and the whole thing was just, like, a crazy cult? Like, everyone, like, they're all just, like, automatons. There's some weird, like, maybe that's what Klopp is going off to do after this season, start this cult. It'd be amazing.
What if it was just like Love Island FC? Like, that's all you need, right? Didn't they already have, was it Vardy, or they had someone on one of the proper, like, dating sex shows? I thought it was him. They had someone that, like, was actually...
I'll be honest, I'm a little behind on the dating sex shows.
I may be conflating it with Ted Lasso, where Jamie Tart was on Love Island for one of the years.
I think that's right, actually. But they should have Vardy on. Vardy would, I mean, he would do that, I think. Like, he would go on, like, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, or whatever.
It would be called Chat Shit and Get Banged. And, like, the whole point would be you talk to people and then you sleep with them.
That's his podcast. That'd be amazing if he had, like, a porn podcast.
Yeah. But and what else about the match? I mean, I can tell you about how good the breakfast was that I had there.
Yeah. Oh. Well, all right. One more thing about the match, and I kind of just want your unbiased, well, not that you're unbiased, but your different bias than mine opinion. When you watch Arsenal players and coaches celebrating like big goals or big wins or something like that, does it strike you as out of place or very different than other teams?
I actually don't notice the celebrations because after someone scored, I'm normally turning to mock someone else. Or to be like, oh, I wasn't looking. What happened? Like, I was like, my head was in Reddit or something. But no, I can't say I've noticed the celebrations. What I have noticed is that Arteta is the only manager that doesn't have to stay in the fucking technical area during the match. He can go on the field if he wants to. He can
Oh
you can
yeah.
go into the other technical area. Yeah, the rules don't really apply to him, and he doesn't get a yellow or a red for
He's
it.
been he's been dinged for it before, actually. Like kind of a bunch of times, but then he just like won't quit doing it. And I think it's like I guess it's a game of chicken. It's like referees are always doing that where it's like they don't want to have to give out a lot of cards, but then also they don't want to have a lot of like dangerous play going on. So like sometimes a strategic one early will get everybody to like chill out, but whatever they're doing with him has not worked because he definitely I mean, he's even had like there's moments where he gets like a sort of second assist to like borrow a term from hockey where like he's run down the sideline, grabbed the ball, teed it up for someone else to throw in, and then that becomes, you know what I mean, like a pass or two later, it's a goal. But it's like that transition opportunity wouldn't have been there if, you know, defensive midfielder Mikel Arteta wasn't on the ball.
Do you think that it's just like his past where like he's still almost like a dog that sees someone hold the ball in their hand, like he just wants to run on the pitch and like deal with it?
Yeah. I really wonder like what would his level be now? He's only what? 3
45?
years away from like playing? 4 years away. 4 years
Isn't he
away.
his mid 40s?
I don't think he might be like early 40s, I think. But I mean, before he went to City, he was still playing at Arsenal. Like,
He's 41. That's pretty young for where he's
yeah.
at.
And he's also like I feel like he's kind of a young 41. Like he seems to take care of himself. You know what I mean? Like he's not there are other 41-year-olds. Like Rooney's probably 41, right? But like he looks rough.
Yeah. Let's not pick on Rooney. This isn't just about finding an uglier person to punt. Like let's keep the focus
Yeah.
on Arteta and Zinchenko and White's wives and like keep it football, keep it football related.
Arteta is kind of like a little bit of a cringy wife guy. Like he has this one like very labored metaphor he uses all the time, and where like he's like, you know, like when I met my wife, like I'm not gonna do the accent actually. But he's like, when I met my wife, like the first night, like she didn't want to talk to me. So then, you know, I had to go talk to her friends. Then I had to try to buy her a drink. Then I go over here and I go over there. And he's like, that's his metaphor for like if you try something in a game, don't stop trying things. Which is like, is that even something you needed to coach them on? Like, I feel like you just wanted to tell this story about how hard it was to bang your wife.
If your impression is accurate, the answer to all of his problems is cocaine.
Yeah. What if that would be a huge scandal. What if these celebrations are just coke fueled? Like, what if you see him on the sideline just grinding his teeth in the next match?
Turns out the sidelines are cocaine.
Do you see those videos of Maradona? When he
No,
was like,
what?
it was like in the last like few years of his life, and he was coaching in Mexico, and like weirdly sort of having a renaissance because he was like doing a good job coaching, but like he hadn't solved any of his personal demons whatsoever. And like there would be like assistant coaches, just like they would like see the camera and they would see Maradona getting out his coke, and then they would like strategically like shield him from the camera view so that he can like blast lines, like not even like in the locker room or in his office or something, like on the sideline during games.
What is it? Well, I mean, this is the 80s?
No, this is like 3 years ago.
Oh fuck. Well, I was gonna make the argument that in the 80s maybe they were helping like cover up for his behavior because it wasn't as big of a deal back then. Like now
Yeah.
we know how dangerous it is, and seen a
Sure.
lot of people ruin their lives on it, like Maradona.
Yeah.
So-
For one.
no, I didn't know that was the case right up until his death. No wonder he died. Like
He had a really sloppy night at the World Cup that was kind of fucked up. It was like at the time I thought it was really funny.
Did he
This was
fall
the World
down?
Cup. He was like sitting in like the front row of like the club level. This is not the last World Cup, but the World Cup before. So this is when I was living in Hong Kong. I
This is
kind of
Russia?
clocked that way. Yeah, I guess so. And he's there and like he keeps like grabbing this like glass wall that's in front of him, and he's like yelling and he's getting like sloppy and stuff. And then like there's more and more white powder residue where he keeps putting his hands over the course of the night. I'm like, dude, like you have so much cocaine that I can see it from
No.
across the world on your
Jeff,
finger.
that's not fair. He could have been doing the LeBron hand chalk thing. He could have been doing
True.
that. He could have
He
been
might
playing
have been
pool.
baking sourdough, where you kind of have to like powder your hands to
Could have been
work
baking
the dough.
sourdough. Could have been making pasta with cocaine. He could have been he could have been applying some powder to his actual face for his complexion. He's an older man.
Oh, fun
He
stuff.
could have Thanos could have snapped his finger, and Maradona could have just been slowly evaporating into dust.
Oh man, can I make a slight segue and then we can talk about your favorite team, or a
Ooh, the
slight
Mighty
aside,
Ducks.
not a segue. I sort of kind of accidentally went to a rave over the weekend, but it was in like a really I thought I was buying tickets to a concert, and then the more I looked into it, I'm like, oh, this concert doesn't really get going till like 1 a.m. and it closes at 4 a.m. and I'm like, oh, this is a rave, because it was like one of the weird things that no one knows about me is that I like dubstep, and I don't really like. There's not that much. There is not an interest that really anyone shares with me. But I'm like in London, and I was like, I should. This is like a thing that I should like check off on my London list. And so like my favorite dubstep DJ was playing, but he was in this like very new venue, and every time I would go into the bathrooms were like strangely nice for a club. Like, and every single person that walked in the bathroom had the same reaction of like, ah, fuck, I feel kind of bad doing coke in here. Like everyone said that as they came in. It was fun.
What if that's why the venue was chosen? It was like, we need a nice bathroom. It's where everyone's gonna be hanging out.
It honestly, I feel like it was like built for that on purpose, because like the stalls in this place, like I have less privacy in my own home than you have in this stall. It was like a cocaine fortress. But
how are you not writing the pilot for Cocaine Fortress right now?
You heard of Cocaine Bear? No, it's an army.
What if it's a fortress that gets addicted to cocaine?
Like, please, man, one more war.
Listen, fortress, like just anthropomorphic like set of walls.
Yeah, it's just like one of those Fort McHenrys with like the 5 points just walking around.
And like there's like a big door entryway that's kind of like the mouth.
Yeah, that's what it talks with.
So you have
And
to
then
just bring
because
the cocaine in?
because it opens up its mouth to get the cocaine in, that's where its weakness is, and that's where Napoleon invades.
Napoleon?
Have you seen Napoleon the movie yet?
I haven't.
No.
No.
One of the first scenes in that is him like storming a fort, and it's pretty badass.
It's one of those movies where it already got spoiled for me a long time ago in high school.
Yeah. Although I feel like every time I hear about Napoleon, there's like more stuff I didn't know. Like the video, like as you watch it, or you're definitely like I didn't know. Apparently, he like really fucked up one of his campaigns just because he wanted to come home and like talk to, like, his wife was cheating on him, and it was in all the Paris newspapers, and he just like wanted to come home and like beat her up.
This sounds like, if you just take just that snippet, it sounds like a 90s chief creative officer's like biopic. Fucked up a campaign, just wanted to go home, yell at his wife, cheating on her.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I want to bring us back to this anthropomorphic fortress
Yes.
for a minute?
Yes.
Like, let's imagine this fortress is addicted to cocaine, and like people can't bring cocaine inside of its perimeter fast enough. Like
40, 40, come here, 40. You can't keep doing so much cocaine, 40.
Just imagine like it runs out of coke or out of funding. Like, what is this fortress willing to do to get more cocaine?
Oh, wow.
You could say maybe start a war with Colombia. Maybe just a hand job.
And 40, the fortress, is populated with a bunch of real human beings, right? So he could like betray thousands of lives, theoretically.
Wow, this is dark, and it's becoming more Adult Swim by the moment.
We like the people inside of it. They're like his like good gut bacteria. They're like his probiotics, like all the little soldiers.
Is this the show we're gonna write? Which is like about Cocaine Fortress? I feel like we've talked about it enough. We've got a rough skeleton.
Rick and 40, but yeah.
Coke and 40.
Yeah, Coke and 40. Oh. And then
hey, listen here, 40.
Good times.
All right. So, guess what happened to me before your match yesterday, Jeff?
A Pyrrhic victory.
No, a regular victory.
Oh, okay, good.
We beat West Ham United 3-0, which is great because only a few weeks ago they smacked us around.
They're a weird team this year. We play them next, and I'm not looking forward to it because this is like the time of the year where we always drop a crucial 3 points against them.
Both West Ham and Wolves, the two matches from the last week for us, have both like taken some pretty big names down this season. So it's just one of those topsy-turvy, Leicestery years.
We've already. But did we have a draw or a loss against them? We've already had a bad result against West Ham once this year.
Did they win? I feel like I remember.
I think they won. Yeah.
And I feel like it was kind of like a what the fuck, keep an eye on them kind of thing. But then they smoked us. But anyway, so Højlund scores right away. Dude has scored in like 4 or 5 Premier League matches in a row. So maybe that barren spell from earlier in the year where no part of the team was functional and still nobody's passing to him, but now he's getting like 2 passes a game and he's scoring off of a chance from one of them. So like, I think he's a good little young striker. Like, I feel like he's done enough to look like he's not the problem.
Yeah.
And so he scored once, and then Garnacho scored twice. Once on a deflection, and another on just sort of like a go fuck you, or go fuck you.
Go fuck you, buddy.
It was like a go fuck yourself kind of like he's in full confidence right now. Like for someone who's just 20, 19, I think he's 19, like he feels like he should be scoring on every chance, which is like a good mentality to have for this team, which is normally mentally very frail. So I was really pleased with that match. The one thing I wasn't really pleased about was Lisandro Martinez has just come back. We're seeing quick passing out of the back to the midfield. Like that's why we've scored 3 and 4 goals in the last week, which is what is it? 3 weeks worth of goals for us earlier in the year.
Easy.
So like 7 goals in 2 matches, and if you're counting that shitty FA Cup match that we made interesting, we've scored 11 goals in 3 matches. So like some parts of United are starting to click. And this match it looked like kind of like a complete performance, maybe the first of the year. But Lisandro Martinez gets like hacked down by I can't remember which West Ham player, but whoever he is, he's a douche. Yeah, so Martinez, no. So the good news that we found out today, it's not a 3rd straight metatarsal fracture.
Oh, really? Because it sounded like it was. I hadn't heard the good news yet. I had heard like it might be the season for him.
Yeah, well, at first it was you got to worry about the fact that he's broken the same bone in his foot twice in a row, had surgery, come back, and been injured last season and then beginning of this season. And so I think it's like a strain. He does not have to have surgery. It's just going to be like 8 or so. I think they said 6 to 8 weeks out. But fuck, like he's probably our most important player. Like he really is. And so missing him for what amounts to 4/5 of the season.
That's tough.
And like a little bit makes me want to give Ten Hag like a bit of slack. Like the only real time we've seen this team fully healthy and in full flow is like yesterday.
Yeah. I was going to say like end of last season too. But also, notably, end of last season, he had Martinez, Casemiro, all these guys that are.
And he was injured. He got hurt before the season ended. He got hurt and then tried to come back, and it just wasn't happening for him. And then tried to come back again beginning of the season and had to have surgery again. So like he's like so talented from like a center back playing the ball, possessing the ball perspective. He's our best, and I think he's one of the best that I have seen in recent memory. And so for him to be gone, not even just gone, but like missing core years of development, missing the beginning of his peak, like it sucks. Like I hope when he comes back from this, he can stay healthy, but like it's kind of like a pointless ambition to have at this point because he just keeps getting hurt, and it breaks my heart. I have nothing more to say.
I do like, I don't know, like if there's like a weird emotional carryover, but I mean, if you remember a couple years ago when he got transferred into United. It was kind of between United and Arsenal for him, and it was close enough that I sort of thought he was going to be an Arsenal player, and I think on some level I dislike him not as much because of that. Even though I guess I should dislike him more.
You
But it's
started picturing yourself married with 2 kids, white picket fence, and now that's in your brain somewhere.
Him and I sharing wives as friends do.
Most Arsenal thing you've said today. Most Arsenal thing you've said.
Yeah, typical.
Wait, I think when we texted each other, didn't I call that inverted wives instead of inverted wingers? Or inverted fullbacks?
Oh, yeah. Wingers and swingers. Yes, some zingers. Wingers, swingers, and zingers.
Jeff, will you give us just a little bit more before you beat Liverpool? Did you not play another match like a couple days ago? Maybe it was last weekend.
We did. No, it was a weird midweek match because I guess all the cup games had like pushed things around on the weekend. So on the Tuesday, we had a nice little win over Forest. And I'm trying, man, what do I remember about that?
Did Matt Turner play?
Yeah, or man, I really don't remember much about that game, do I?
Well, because I want to know.
Oh, you know why? You know why? Because I didn't watch that game because I was in an improv class.
Jeff?
I couldn't.
Wait, Jeff, are you telling me that you take comedy more seriously than football facts?
I don't know. I probably don't take either of them seriously enough, if I'm honest. But
the head writer of Cocaine Fortress should not be saying things like that. All right, but so you don't remember it, but you edged out a win in one of those matches that you would like last season even have shockingly lost while kicking everyone else's ass.
Yeah. No, we've dropped like a bunch of key games to them over the years. The first time that Arsenal wore their stupid all white kits in the cup, we lost to Forest when they weren't even a Premier League team. And the second time we've lost to Liverpool. So maybe let's not fucking doing that and just let people stab each other.
Is it because like they're like the Robin Hood club and you're like London establishment? Like in a way, they're going to keep robbing you forever and redistributing the wealth to the poor.
They literally did redistribute their jerseys to us, and that's why Arsenal wear a red. Like the very first Arsenal team had a couple players that had played for Forest, and then there's like a letter in a museum somewhere that's like, "Hey, can we get the old kits?" Like,
that's kind of neat. I like learning about moments of like football altruism, like when most of my team died in the Munich plane crash. Real Madrid offered Di Stefano, their star, like their Cristiano Ronaldo, to us for a year loan, and it's like, I don't know if anyone would do that anymore. Honor is not that important. The business is important at this point.
They would. I feel like now someone would do it, but there would be like some weird ulterior motive where it would like
it'd be like a Mr. Beast video
or something. yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mr. Beast is gonna save 200 jobs if you.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I watched a really weird one the other day with him where he had a guy and he was like, you get $10,000 for every day that you can live in this grocery store. And like,
I saw that too.
And like, but like I mean, it's tough because it's like, how do you turn down another 10 grand just for like one more day of like hanging out there? But the guy had like very young kids and like a wife. And he was like, he just got to the point where he was like, he had to build like his own like weird shower and stuff. And he was just like dirty and sad. And then Mr. Beast kept coming in like, hey.
Well, every day they would come in and he would have to pick $10,000 worth of produce, merchandise, whatever that they're going to effectively sell. That like, so they take it away from him. It's no longer stuff he can eat or drink or use to sleep on or watch. And like eventually he had nothing left and he's just in a big empty grocery store. And it's the most boring time I've ever seen anyone have, other than me watching Manchester United most weekends this year.
Yeah, I think like basically the ultimate moment in it, spoiler alert, is he had like, there was some like above ground pool that you could buy in the grocery store and he filled it up and then he accidentally hit it with a forklift and then it like flooded the whole thing and he's like, all right, I'm fucking done.
This has become like a natural disaster sort of, what's it, FEMA? This is a FEMA situation now?
Yeah.
Isn't it FEMA? What does FEMA stand for?
Federal Emergency Management Agency. Probably not association.
All right. So Arsenal edge Forest 2-1. Similarly, last week United survived Wolves. If you'll remember, Jeff, we watched them together when we were at the Fringe Fest on my phone, and we beat them 1-0. That was the Onana punches someone in the head and doesn't get in trouble for it match.
I remember that. Yeah.
But in that 1-0 win, they had thoroughly outplayed us, and that was when we kind of were figuring out, like, oh, stuff's not right. Like, this doesn't look like the club from last year. This time we went up 2-0 right away. Like it was pow pow, and then could have scored 2-3 more in the first half. Like it could have been 5-0 at halftime, which I don't think I could have said that at any other time this season. Like it's the first time we've looked attacking wise competent. Yeah. But then
you're at a point where that's a good thing, where you're like, oh, we're actually getting chances.
Yeah, we're getting chances, we're scoring goals. Even the ones we're not scoring, it's like, oh, we weren't even generating those before. But we give up a penalty, and I think it was Casemiro, like, does one of those things where he's, like, poking his boot in to try and, like, poke the ball away for an attacker who's right inside the box, and they don't really make contact. It's like he does this to his foot, like, even in slow motion, it doesn't look like very much contact is made, and you see the whole body throw itself, like in a way that this doesn't logically make any sense. Like if I did this to your foot, for you to go like, ugh, like it just there's no
make my shoulders fly ahead. Yeah,
there's no physics explanation for that. But he goes down. The ref immediately says penalty kick, and that's one of those things that like very rarely is VAR going to be like, no, you fucked it up. They're going to be like, there is context, so I guess you can give it.
Yeah.
But it was bullshit. It was like a free penalty out of nothing that was not related to the run of play. Like I think I might have sent you a clip of it, or if I didn't, I can. I mean, it's old news now. But like that started the like, uh-oh. And it became 2-1, and then like just from recent memory, United crap themselves whenever any adversity shows up. But then we scored a third goal. I want to say it was McTominay, maybe even. But like we scored a third goal, and it's like, oh wow, we're up 3-1. This is it. And then they come back.
So good though, doesn't it?
It does, because you're reasserting yourself. You're not just folding. There is a response. There's like no, we still have something left to take from this match. And then they score like a ridiculous what the fuck was that goal to make it 3-2. And then they tied it in the beginning of stoppage time. It's like there's going to be like 8 minutes of stoppage time. And in like the 90 plus 3, they tie it. And it's just like, fuck, are we going to lose this now? And then Kabi Mainu, who I'm trying to really pronounce his name right now that he's a super mega star. He like nutmegs somebody and then like basically does one of those like passing it into the corner with full bend on it shots, and like just scores like it didn't matter. Like he had it all under control. He's 18 years old. He is like, for that type of position, like I can't think of any, like people keep comparing him to like a slightly less physical Bellingham. Like and maybe some of these comparisons are like very premature, because you never know what a player is going to end up becoming until they became it. But like he looks like that kind of player where he could kind of do everything well and always make the right decision, which for our midfield of like random hotheads and Bruno Fernandes just like pew, 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 just shooting all over the place, like he's kind of like the voice of reason in that midfield. Like I love him. He's great. Knock on glass.
I mean, between him and Højlund and Garnacho, there's starting to be some really like bright spots for the future, which is kind of scary. Or you could just think about how much easier your friendship is with me when I'm not on like death row for this club. But it's like one or the other of us is basically always going to be unhappy the way we've rigged this.
If we just improve, Jeff, I'm happy. I'm happy with 7s. I don't need to date a 10. I'm happy with like a 7 with an awesome personality.
I thought you were gonna say
all right. Looks like you've got in the near future a visit to Moisey. Gonna go see ex Manchester
Moyes?
United boss David the
Moyes?
Moyes.
The chosen one. I saw an interesting statistic. I don't know if you saw the same one the other day, that he has set the record for most Premier League losses by a man.
And everybody who says that is like, he must suck. But then everyone's like, oh, but you've got to be in the Premier League for like I don't know how many seasons to even lose that many matches. So there's like a success in the failure.
Yeah. No, it's like, yeah, to continue your metaphor of he must suck, it would be like a guy who goes to a gay bathhouse the most times without sucking. Because it's like you got to keep going to get the record. But he hasn't. It's a weird. That metaphor actually didn't work as well as I thought it would in my head. I guess
you're like
thinking about the gay bathhouse.
Is Schuyler put off by this joke?
I'm not even mad at the offensive-ness of it. I just wish that the metaphor in my head, I was like, oh, I bet you once I say this metaphor is totally going to make sense. But then it didn't at all.
It didn't work. So you just talked about gay bathhouses for no reason.
For no reason. This is a lot like a topic close to all of our hearts. No.
It's like when you're like jerking off 100 people and then like, what was the metaphor? I don't know.
yeah. Just
who has the time?
On that mental image.
Yeah. I don't know. Someone was jerking off 100 people. All right. So do you think you're gonna win that? Like, let's at least get like a little bit of forecasting out of you.
Well, I believe they are visiting us. Technically, Moyes is coming to our house.
I looked it up. I thought.
Or are they not? Maybe I could be wrong.
Is he at London Stadium? Because that's where it's at.
Oh shit. Yeah. No. Okay. So we're visiting them.
And telling me I did it wrong on my show.
Yeah. I really thought that's crazy. So that means we had that bad result against West Ham at home. That's pretty rough. I don't know. They're a good team, and they're especially good when they're at home. Even though I think that stadium kind of sucks.
It was 3 days after Christmas. It was 2-0.
Yeah. I don't know.
And that was at the Emirates.
I've been trying to wrap my head around it, but I could definitely see us losing this one.
I almost thought you were going to go in and
playing. Especially it's right after this big game against Liverpool.
You think there's going to be some emotional
could be a little
but your team doesn't look like they down tools, or your team doesn't look like they take things through. Like my team does that, where like they'll get up for maybe a Liverpool match and grind out a 0-0, but like we do then go, oh, Luton, and then we lose to them, or barely beat them. Like, so I don't see you guys as like mentally frail right now.
I don't think that we've ever had like an issue with effort or like like that sort of down tools thing, but I do think there are times where like the mental focus maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just what you say when like weird bad stuff happens. But like, I mean, even in that Liverpool game, it's like, did we have to give up a goal that was not needed? You know what I mean? Like, did we have to like we have an ability to slip on banana peels that maybe every team has that to a certain extent, but we seem to have a special ability there.
But it's funny how like all it takes is winning a few games in a row, and that narrative just disappears. It's like winning is a balm
or even
for
just
all
getting
ills.
away with it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like there was a point in that game where Darwin Nunez to the ball out of the stadium, and it was like if he had scored that, I think it would have been 2-2, and then that's a very different looking game. And I don't know. Sometimes it just helps to have the football gods on your side for a minute or two.
Has he scored much this season, Darwin?
That's a good question.
This is apparently Google
the first game that like it was like both him and Salah were not in the starting lineup, and I was sort of surprised by that because he went with like sort of a shrimp lineup up front. It was like all three of like their sort of, which actually I think they have a bunch of good forwards at Liverpool, but it was a weird combination up there with Jota and the rest of them.
Is it Jota or Jota? I've heard every variant of that.
Is he, what's his nationality? Is he
Portuguese, I think.
Oh, then it probably is Jota.
So
just like I said Jose Mourinho for like the longest time incorrectly.
You can still say it. What he's not going to stop you. In the Premier League, he's got 22 appearances, 7 goals, 7
Hmm.
assists.
That's actually pretty good.
It's like solid, right? Like for a striker, like you
Yeah.
probably like he's probably got more assists than you would imagine from a striker, but like 7 out of 22, if you extrapolate that to let's say like a 30, let's say he plays 33 games in the Premier League, that means he's only getting 3.5 more goals for the whole season. So that
Yeah.
would be
That's
like
a
10,
weird
10 and a
season.
half Premier League goals. So like as a striker, that's solid. That's like if you're the striker from like Brentford and you get 10 goals, it's like, oh, okay. You made those 10 goals probably out of half chances.
Right.
But then it's also the 11 assists. Is like, okay, so he did create 22 Premier League goals or sorry, not 22. He created 14 Premier League goals total in
So
22
far. Yeah.
matches. So like that's you see what I mean? It's like not
It's
bad.
like,
Like he's not on
yeah.
any like shit list like, other players that we could not name from my club.
He's so
But like
tantalizing though, because it's like he's got like 14 goals he should have scored in addition to these 7, where you look at it and you're like, how did he not?
but what if he's got like all of the instincts and none of the decision making? Or what is it? What is it that turns on the finishing feature? Like what is that's mental. Finishing is mental, right? Because you've got all you can shoot the ball hard from every different angle and do all these acrobatic passes and you can dribble. You can do all those things. Finishing is all up here. That's how
I
like
do
40-year-old strikers can still finish.
I don't know. I do think yeah, there's a physical part of it where it's like, to me it seems like he's trying to constantly crush the ball as hard as he can. And like a lot of the great finishers will tell you that like they're basically just passing it to a place that the goalie can't get it, And it's like if you look like, I mean, Messi's one of the best finishers ever, and it's like most of his goals are not rockets. It's like boop, there it is. I mean, even Ronaldo, like you can look at like sort of like the early like 10 step overs per dribble Ronaldo, he would smash every ball he hit. And then as he got older, he started just sticking them in the corner here and there. And it's like, boop, boop. He would do
That
that
does
little.
sound like him. That does sound like the trademark Ronaldo goal sound effect.
That's not true. It's actually the police academy guy. He does that.
Oh, nice callback, Jeff. Nice
Call
callback. Who is your favorite finisher of all time?
back. Feels like you're trying to set me up for a stupid joke, and I'm not going to take the bait.
Damn it. I wanted you to do that. That's a
Finisher,
good read.
finisher.
Someone from
I'm
Mortal
gonna
Kombat.
Yeah, Raiden, I'd say. No.
Porn
I don't
star
know.
Nick Manning.
The truth is, like, there's really not that many good finishers. Like, everybody's kind of an average finisher statistically. Like, I can't think of anybody that jumps out at me. Like, probably Messi.
I was thinking some of the Italian guys from like the late 90s, early 2000s, like your Inzaghi's, your Battistuta. I know he was Argentinian, but he played in Italy. But like those kind of guys where like
Mm.
I actually don't know if I'm speaking out of school here. I don't know if it was like all like physical gifts where they're just like sprinting past the last line and tapping the ball. And I feel like a lot of it was like the mental aspect of knowing where to be and being able to body up against a defender and like those strikers that'll just do those like evil little things to like get into your head as a defender, and that's how they make chances for themselves is by like just
Right.
being a nemesis. There's some art to that.
For sure.
That
Like a
like
Berbatov.
yeah. Honestly, I love Berbatov. Berbatov's one of my favorite players, even though he was clearly not a great fit for like a more dynamic attacking front three.
Yeah.
And like probably wouldn't fit into the team now because he just sort of was like slow and chill and a little lackadaisical. But like the man had like a Zlatan-esque ability to make some art out of nothing. Like, do you remember that Burba spin he did where the ball was headed like out for a goal kick and he pirouettes on it and like passes it to himself down the line towards the goal and then he's able to
Yeah.
basically like just dribble in. Like, why don't they always do that?
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
All right. So after you have your visit to Moise, we have a visit to Villa Park. And while we did beat Villa in that comeback win a few weeks ago, I think visiting them will be a different proposition. entirely. Headed out to Birmingham.
Yeah.
I'd be
They
happy with
could
a
have lost
draw.
some momentum, but they're definitely like, I don't know.
They're still dangerous. They still have really good players like that can just turn it on. They have a better midfield than us, so like it does make me nervous. If we can get a draw there, like a draw is not going to look good every week when you see somebody else jump over you that got 3 points. But like that's one of those that's maybe one of our harder matches in the next month or two that Martinez is gone.
Yeah.
So like we're hoping for Martinez back by the time we play you guys towards the end of the season. So this is going to be a tough match. I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
After the Klopp news, Jeff, Xavi, Barcelona ledge, Xavi said he's stepping down. I don't know why. Looked like he's still doing all right.
Ravi? Or Zavi?
Xavi. If I'm sorry, I don't speak other languages.
Okay.
But then because he announced that he was leaving end of the season, all of a sudden you started seeing links for Mikel Arteta to Barcelona. Did you see those links, Jeff? If so, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Tell us where you are.
I just think the chemistry that Mikel Arteta has with this team's wives is something that no, I think I don't know.
He's married to a system.
Yeah. No, I think he's pretty bedded down right now. And I also like
Is that another joke?
I didn't even I think he really is like settled in at Arsenal. He's settled down with all these wives. No, I think he is not going anywhere. I also like he's from like he was in Barca's academy, but I don't think he's one of those like Barca DNA guys. Like when people take like Cesc off of us, or when they were trying to get Bellerin for a while, and it's like it's a guy who was playing at Barcelona until he's 17, and now he's 23 or 24 or something. I get that, but like I don't know. Like I don't. Mikel Arteta is a 41-year-old man. Is he really that sentimental about a team where he didn't make the grade? Like,
Can I propose a different way to think about it?
yeah.
I think Arteta could, stay at Arsenal for either the rest of his career or for like a big chunk of years, like whatever is more than you would expect from most managers these days. I'm not saying he's a Barca DNA guy, but he is a Pep Guardiola-ist, right? Like he's kind of like Pep Light in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
I wonder if that just means that there's a limited number of people Barcelona would consider. And if he's on that list of limited people Barcelona would consider, then it's, well, we'll sell off part of our academy to Spotify if it means that, like, we can have the money to bring in, like, a manager that will complement what we've got and sort of the way we do things here. And, like, unless you think he couldn't handle the Barca gig, because, like, Xavi did it with, like, less experience. Xavi did it coming out of the Saudi league.
Yeah, true. I mean, there's a weird thing in that league where it's like, I think it lends itself well to coaching frauds like Zidane, and where it's like
La Liga.
Yeah, because I think it's not as hard as the Premier League. It just isn't. The Premier League, there's so many teams that are like kind of annoyingly good. Like there isn't any, Girona, or I don't know how you say it, Girona. There isn't like there's not a team like that. Even like I don't know, maybe there's Luton this year, but like there's just not as many easy wins as they have. And so there are guys that go there and they're successful because they just have these incredible it's like you get to be a Man City in a league that doesn't have any other Man Cities. It doesn't even have, the rest of the top six. But I don't know. I don't know. I wonder what like Arteta's actual career end goal is. Like is
probably best manager in the world. Level?
You know what I mean? Like is his goal just to be as good as he can be at a top club in the Premier League? Because it's kind of hard to argue with. Like this is the top league, but I don't know. I mean, he does have PSG DNA as well. Played for PSG back before they were PSG.
They don't have DNA, man. You know that. They don't have a singular thought process that they've ever had.
It's a test tube team.
But do you think he at any point will leave Arsenal to go to Barcelona?
It could happen. I mean, it's a great gig. Maybe it's arguably the best gig.
Well,
But
it sounds like if it
at least
doesn't happen this summer, you might be good for a few years, right? Like, this is just like the moment of opportunity. So, like, if they replace Xavi with someone else, then I don't know if anyone else is necessarily going to come steal Arteta without there being sort of more of a longer brewing story, because that came kind of out of nowhere, right? Like him stepping down, and then maybe Arteta's the replacement. Like the newspaper just speculates. The journalists, they have to guess. Well, Barcelona needs someone. Who's it going to be?
Yeah. He's an obvious choice for that, but I don't think he's really interested right now. But I wouldn't count him out for life by any means.
Right. Would you mind if we played one really quick game where you just name United players and I tell you if I think Ineos is going to sell them or not?
Yeah. Let me just pull up that roster real quick.
It doesn't have to be the whole roster. It can just be top of your dome names. Rashford, I think that they won't sell him, but I think that they should. Because I think if he's gets back to his scoring ways for the rest of the season, that's still a massive contract. And I think they want to get like younger and leaner with it. And if the best way to play might be Garnacho on the left and a new right winger on the right, instead of sticking Garnacho on the right and just assuming he'll score from wherever. So I think they should sell Rashford. That would be, let's say they sold him for 65 million. He's a homegrown player that we never paid for. So that's 65 million that like bails our ass out for FFP right away.
Yeah.
Like we could make transfers in. We could probably spend 200 million based on 60 million coming in 1 year. That's pure profit.
It's weird. I get how that would be like the sort of base rate that you'd peg him at, but who's paying that for him now?
PSG.
Yeah.
That would be the guess. Is you lose Mbappe, you need a big sports washing icon, and he was like Mr. Feed the Children. So like,
you guys could make some Saudi money on some players if they were willing to go. Is like
Casemiro
from United. Yeah. I was gonna say Casemiro is another one. Ineos or Adios.
I think you've got to move on some of these players that are only gonna decline more and need replacement immediately anyway. It's like if they're smart.
Anthony.
I mean, if they're smart, they're figuring out ways to get some money back, because if they sell Anthony right now 2 years into his deal, that means that, let's say 10 million each from his fee has been eaten by amortization, right? So like financial fair play, it's about I think you get to like say the money coming in counts for X, but then when you buy a player, you spread it out over the life of the contract. So you're saying that they
only counting everybody signed in 9-year deals.
Exactly, and even though that they're putting rules on that to make it like a little less insane to avoid the rules, you're still going to have to do that sooner or later. So like they have to find a way to get rid of players they spent way too much on, but most teams that want them aren't going to pay half of what they cost. So like, I think that means you've got to sell a McTominay, which would be pure profit, a Rashford, which would be pure profit. If you can sell Greenwood, Greenwood's pure profit. Martial's out of contract. Sancho and Antony, we would have a massive loss on selling either of them. So you kind of got to make other sales to compensate.
I mean, I'm assuming the players that we mentioned as the future of the club earlier, you're hanging on to.
Gotta hang on to them because they're cheap. They're cheap. They're signed to team friendly contracts. I'll save you some time. I think they also should Mount. We haven't even seen him play, so you kind of can't sell him because no one will pay for someone who didn't play for a whole season.
Saudi money, baby.
Yeah, but and then does he want to go there? Probably not. Jordan Henderson didn't like it, so why would he? And then like probably get rid of Maguire. They need to rebuild the back. They need to rebuild the midfield. They need a backup striker. So, I mean, he's staying because he's good.
But he's injured all the time.
But we're better with him than without him.
How old is Fernandez?
Bruno's 28, 29. So like I think it's probably 29, 30 even. So an offer came in for him in the summer for for Saudi money, and I think we rejected it. But like, maybe you start thinking about doing what Klopp did at Liverpool and just completely reimagine the midfield as something that's a little more balanced. Because what you'd want is someone that can generate chances without giving the ball away 40 times a game. Like, you want more De Bruyne than De Bruno.
Yeah. He's honestly one of the only guys that we've mentioned so far where I was actually sort of on the fence. Like, all the other ones seem sort of obvious, like stay or go. Did we say Varane?
Varane, I think you keep for one more year. This isn't my idea. I've heard it from other podcasts, but like, you bring in a center back that's his understudy, and you've got the option to trot Varane out if he's healthy and it's a big match, and you've got the option to let someone younger sort of blood themselves in over a number of months, and then at the end of the year, I think Varane's contract would be over, and then he would probably go to Saudi Arabia or wherever he's going to go, MLS, who knows, for cheap. Or not for cheap, sorry, for like, he'd get a free agent deal, so he'd probably do that at his age. I mean, that's probably enough. I didn't mean to make you... Who? Malacia? Malacia hasn't played pretty much all season, but in my EA Sports 24 game, EAFC 24, he goes to Arsenal and becomes their starting left back.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So if you want an injured left back of the future...
We have an injured left back of the present, my friend.
Don't we all? We have multiples. Do you have anything else you want to cover before we hit the dusty trail, my good friend?
I think that's good.
We could start planning this freaking trip, man. Start thinking about all the Indian food and pub comedy we're going to be going to.
Hell yeah. Good stuff, man.
All right, congratulations on your beating the Wicked Witch.
Thank you. I hope that you enjoyed the one game a year that you can root for Arsenal, guilt-free.
I also could probably root for you in the opposite fixture.
True. Yeah, we played them 3 times this year. Cool.
Later, bud.
Later.
Meet the Soccers.